All right, this is frozen with Andrew. I mean, cooking chicken with Andrew. The snow is definitely thickening up here in Idaho, but I am cooking us a brunch, breakfast and lunch all together. It's gonna be amazing. We're gonna have some chicken breasts right here, all 3 of them. We're gonna have probably a whole stick of butter because you're not allowed to use any less than a stick when you're on keto. It's like something about a law or something, I don't know. We are also going to be adding vegetables. I don't know which vegetables yet. I have to dig those out. Probably some bacon bits. I'd imagine green beans, mushrooms, and maybe some carrots all chopped up. And I'm probably going to chop this chicken into little chunks and let's see how that turns out. Y'all ready for this? Are you? You sure? All right, here we go. Because we're on the road, I limit the amount of dishes that we dirty up, and by doing that I usually stick everything in this one pan. I try to only dirty up maybe my tongs and my knife. I would keep my gloves on, but I struggle with that. Probably helped me out a lot. How good that chicken is. Ooh, yeah. I think I'm gonna start off by opening up this heavenly goodness here, placing that in the old cast iron. I had this thing seasoned up quite nicely before we left the school. It was a kitchen that everybody used and somebody washed it. I'm sure they did not wash it properly. Turn the old stove on here. I don't know how much more propane is in that. Get that warming on up and melt my butter. My avocado oil is frozen at the moment. I could probably put the right hand glove on. I might could put the left too if I use this. That way we don't freeze our hands off. Let's see what we got here. A lot of times I like to set the chicken on the other chicken to cut it, because that way I don't cut into this or cut into a plate doing my knife. It seems to work really well. Normally I would just use my hand to hold it, but because it gets so cold out here, I have learned that these tongs are really nice. And I'm just cutting it into small pieces. I'm not trying to be crazy particular about it. If the pieces need to be smaller in the future, I can shrink them down, but I like them a little bit like bite size. Of course, I got a big old mouth. I like to talk a lot, so my bite size might be a little different than others. With my big old mouth, I can shirt down, eat some of this good old chicken here. Sometimes I season it before I put it on. A lot of times I don't. I like to get it all covered up in the butter and then smother it in seasoning. I season a lot more than I used to. Lauren, she likes a little bit of chicken with her seasoning, where I used to not do that as much, but I have grown accustomed to it to where now I think it's what I prefer. Freaking love butter. I think that's why I like keto so much, just because it allows me to eat a lot of butter. This isn't the best butter. This is the 88-cent for like 5 sticks of butter. Probably not the best for you butter, but it's definitely good to you. Let's see if we can turn the stove down a little bit. Yeah, tried to get a lid for this cast iron. We were at Walmart, they didn't have one, so I got me a makeshift lid up there. Makes it more difficult when it's cold out. Makes everything a little more of a struggle. Of course, it's nice that I haven't had to buy ice. My freezer packs keep freezing back very quickly at nighttime, and it seems to last throughout the day. Of course, it doesn't get very hot during the day. It stays around 30 degrees pretty much all the time. And I could be going ahead and throwing that on there. The only thing that I'm going to be cooking really is this chicken. The vegetables are all canned, so they're already kind of pre-cooked. Almost dumped out our food yesterday. I was cooking out here. This cheap stand this thing's got is bad. I want to build a better stand, but it's hard to build anything when you're out on the road. But see, that'll mess up a knife in a hurry. It doesn't cut through metal very good. This chicken this is our second meal off of this, and it only cost me $6 to buy it the first time. $6 altogether. And it looks good too. I almost threw these tongs away one time. I get carried away sometimes on cleaning out. And my mom held on to them, and I called her up and I was like, I need some tongs. And she's like, come on over. And I was like, wow, those are my tongs I threw away. She had held on to them because she knew how good they were, how useful they would be on this trip. I'm sure that's what she had in her mind when she did it. She knows stuff, too much stuff probably. It's a little unfair, I think, for the rest of us to have to not know as much as she knows. Almost done here. This is a Cutco knife that I bought off of a good friend of mine. I love the knife. So far it hasn't dulled down in all the stuff that I've been doing with it. Set this to the side. Whoa, a lot of blood in there. This is what I've been using. More spice, Creole seasoning, and I love. Go all over it. That butter should soak up some of it, so it's all right to put extra like that. Stir that in a little bit. Turn it down a little bit more. I like to slow cook her a little bit. Sometimes this cast iron will soak up some heat. I've got to slow it down. This is super efficient cooker here. My setup here usually more organized, but at the moment it makes life interesting. Got sweet peas, no salt added. I think there's a little sugar in these. Total 3 grams, but it's natural sugars, which is still not the best, but I'm trying to limit on that. We got carrots going in this. My favorite is the green beans. They're the best for the keto. Then we need some mushrooms. Gotta have the mushrooms. Got the bacon bits. Gotta have that's sunflower seeds. Grabbed the wrong one. This goes on top of our fried onions. Where's my bacon bits? Bacon, there they are. Bacon bits. It's a real bacon and got to be refrigerated, which is cool, but I don't think it's freezing. Mushrooms. Now, I like to just dump this on, open up the bacon. It's already been cooked. Probably wait till after it. Smells good. Everything's harder when it's cold. Everything. Sprinkle that around there like that. Take a whole lot of bacon to make it good. Bacon and butter pretty much can go in on this pan at any meal. Anything I'm gonna be cooking anyway. This is the last. I don't usually cook those. Let's try to start off here with the carrots. The nice thing about the cooked carrots, the canned carrots, over the what's it called? The frozen carrots, is the frozen carrots you have to let it cook for a while, otherwise they're kind of hard and chewy, where these come already pre-done up and good. I think I'm going to save the peas. I'm not sure yet, but my cast iron skillet here struggles to carry everything. It goes on the mushrooms. Gotta have your mushrooms. I think I'm in love with these mushrooms ever since I got the first can of mushrooms. And the thing about the canned green beans and the mushrooms is it is 0 sugar, 0 added sugars, and the salt in them isn't completely ridiculous. It is a lot though. I will go with a lot. I think I will. I think I'm going to hold out on the peas. That'll probably be for another meal because, as y'all can tell, I'm limited. I would like to cook them in a separate pan, but the trip that we are having at the moment makes that very hard to do. Something me and Lauren are both good at is eating. We, especially the better I get at cooking, the better we get at eating, which I think is perfect because I am all about the eating. This trash fills up quick up here. All right, now stir this in a little bit. Gotta let the steam do the cooking. You can't just release all this steam. And I tried to buy a cast iron skillet lid, but it wasn't gonna happen. Look at that. Look at that. Got a little bit more Creole seasoning in here. With extra spice, because we like a little bite to it. Let me show y'all my high-end 14-cent lid here. Now I know that y'all gonna be jealous of this lid, but y'all can pick it up at Walmart. I think you get all 3 of them for like $1. You gotta let that sit though. You gotta let that simmer. Take your time. I'll take a few minutes. I usually stir it about every 60 to maybe 2 minutes. The steam that comes out of there feels so good on your frozen fingers. Here's how I keep my silverware and cookware clean, killing all these germs out here on the road. I think I'm done with the knife. I'm gonna keep that one out. Try to keep it off of the cooler there. Now, I usually clean it before I put it up. I clean it when I take it out. No telling what it could touch or what could happen. And it just cleans up so good if you just do it while it's still fresh. When it dries on there, you might as well give up. Just throw the whole thing away. Put the other glove on. I think everything I need to do now I can do gloved. And then you take your phone out. You gotta get your phone. You gotta keep your phone close. Make a phone call. Look stuff up on YouTube and watch YouTube, which is what I do mostly because I love YouTube. I not only like to put videos on there, I am a consumer as well to YouTube videos. Or you can clean up your mess however you want to. You gotta keep your kitchen spotless, especially out on the road when you got 2 inches of counter space. You gotta keep your 2 inches of counter space all nice and clean because 2 inches of counter space fills up quick. But you can do a lot with 2 inches of counter space. that's for sure. You just gotta use it right. You gotta organize it. It's the position, you put everything in. Let's go ahead and have a peek. See how the steam's holding up in here. Let's see here. All right, ready for this? I could have added music, but when I add it while it's happening, I think it sounds more in it. I know it would probably be better if I just added the special effects later, but I am the special effects because I'm special. Look at those. The carrots and the green bean give it a nice color to it, and the chicken is cooking. Now, if this was frozen vegetables, I would put these veggies on ahead of the chicken. Because it comes out of a can and everything that comes out of a can is already pre-cooked and soft, I don't want to cook it for too long because then it'll almost just become a mush. I actually probably should have cooked the chicken a little more done before I added all those, but that's the fun part about cooking is you get better and then you get worse and then you get better. And most of the time I forget and then get worse again. But I've been cooking out on the road like this for a little bit. Me and Luke used to cook out all the time on the backside. I had a blue minivan, and sometimes we did it in a box truck whenever we had a rented box truck. And we would travel, we'd cook out like this. I wasn't as good then, I'll admit. I wasn't as good at cooking. We had a lot more like ramen noodles and quick and easy food. All you had to do is heat it up. You didn't have to add no seasonings or nothing hardly. That was back before I thought eating healthy was fun. Price efficient. Of course, this meal here probably cost $5. And I'm gonna be able to feed me and Lauren, and might even have some leftovers, a lot in that pan, but the ramen's like 25 cents. I could eat 2 packs, a 50-cent meal. It's hard to compete with that. The ramen, you're gonna be hungry in 30 minutes. We may not eat anything until dark or past dark. It may be tomorrow morning. Sometimes we aren't even hungry for dinner. We eat so much for a good lunch. Plus it's hard to get out and cook after dark, so usually we just eat a couple snacks or something. It's not too good to go to bed on a full stomach anyway. I ought to make some tea to go with this. I think I'm gonna hold off. We're gonna have to drink water with this one. I just had a whole cup of coffee for breakfast. I think I'm still powered off of that. Gotta go put my avocado oil up in the front. It is solidly frozen. I've been using a little bit of vegetable oil, not that I bought it. We already had some from before, and I've been using it up because it doesn't freeze as easy as this avocado oil does. The butter, I mean, it comes with hard. We carry a bunch of gallons of water, but the top half underneath the shell seems to get colder because down there, the water so far has not froze, which has been good. Let's give it another check. Every time you got to give it the otherwise it's missing out. The chicken's not going to taste as good. Every time you got to go, you got to give it that. Good old green bean. Yeah, definitely should have held off on the vegetables. I think the flavor will be still just as good. It's just the texture won't be there that I want. I know what you're saying, but got to add more. It loses a little bit in the steam or something. It doesn't want to stick right. So I'll throw this back on here. And keep that steaming. That makes it just extra moist and wet inside the chicken. You gotta get that steam held in. You gotta capitalize on those juices floating out. It just cooks into them. I think its propane tank's about out. We're getting close. It's getting a freezy look at the bottom. It usually means close. Now, these have a little bit of carbs on them, but I don't add a whole lot of them. Well, that ain't too bad. Total carbs, 1%. I just do a little sprinkle over the top, and I'm hoping this will help the texture a little bit if it has a little bit of these crunchies in it. Maybe it won't hurt that the vegetables will be cooked so thoroughly. It's pretty deep. It's pretty deep over here. I'm hoping we get a lot deeper though. I've never been up north too much in the snowy times. A real adventure for me because I don't think I've ever seen more than maybe 8 inches maybe, of snow maybe at the most. I'm in for an experience when it comes to that, for sure. Out of propane. I knew it had to be getting close. Hopefully that don't melt through my cooler. This propane thing is really efficient. I've cooked, I don't know how many meals off of this one tank. I mean, I probably 8 meals off of this one tank of fuel. We use this thing to heat up the pickup cab. I'll just set this thing in between the seats and turn it on real low, and it just gives off the most amazing little bit of heat. And then we ain't got to sit there and let the truck run. We just crack a window about 1/4 of an inch, 2 of them. Whoop, turn it off. It works so good. It's such a warm. I like propane, such a good heat. Get my torch out here. Well, not the human torch. Yeah, there we go. Set that back on there. Sometimes it's good to give your meat a rest anyway. You don't want to cook it all too fast. You gotta let the meat rest. Cook it, meat rest, cook. I don't think it matters as much when you're cooking it this way, but when you're searing your steak, You gotta give it a break every so often. Snowing. I think it's sleet. I think it looks like it's bouncing. It needs to stop though while I'm cooking. I don't need all this abuse. Lauren is editing videos. She stays steadily at that. Takes a lot of time. Is also in the warmth, and I think she likes to tell me that the times that we stop and I have to cook is her times to edit, because the truck's not moving around and bouncing around. So she takes advantage of that, and she also takes advantage of the heat while she's in there doing it. For a Chicago girl, you think she would be ready for the cold, but she has already adapted to the Las Vegas heat. She is Las Vegas girl. I don't even know how she grew up in Chicago. I don't know how this candle does it. But if y'all have never seen one of these, y'all gotta check it out. They sell them at Walmart. Once you light it, it starts flashing different colors. I'll try to put in a clip on it, but it'll turn all different kind of colors. And it is so beautiful. And it runs off the light. If it's sunlight, you can put it in the sunlight for a minute, bring it to the shade, and you'll see it be changing colors, or you can just light it and it'll just be changing colors. It's so beautiful. And that thing ain't but like $3. And it smells decent. I mean, it's really a mosquito wax to prevent mosquitoes, which mosquitoes are smart enough not to come up north where it's cold. Now, if y'all have never seen one of those candles, y'all ought to check them out. They're really cool. Got juices just dripping out on top of my table here, smelling amazing. Let's see here. Oh man, now we're getting it. Now we got that heat cranked up. I still see a little bit of pink on some of these. Phone letting her go. She's simmering. I thought it was going to be drastically colder up north. Now at night it gets down to about 20, but during the day, I mean, it stays steady at like 30 degrees. Which ain't really that bad. I mean, I don't wear long johns or nothing, or I haven't been. I don't know why. It just hasn't seemed to be that bad for me. On the coldness, of course, Lauren likes to stay in a lot, and I try to stay close to her. She don't much like it, but I've had a terrible time now. When the wind picks up, or if it's drizzling a little bit, or sleeting or snowing, that makes me hard to cook, because every time it touches my neck, face, it just becomes miserable. I've been dealing with that. I have cooked in the snow and the sleet a few times, but there's been about 1 or 2 times, I think, that we have went out to eat or bought something at a fast food restaurant because it is like an unbearable windy drizzle. All right, y'all. Let's see what Lauren thinks about this food.
Baby, I have to say you have outdone yourself.
It gets better every time.
Every time. I would like to point out that I taught him how to season.
I already said that in this video, so I've already given you credit.
I appreciate that, because this is great. Hot, but great. The carrots are so good.
Bam! Look at that. We emptied every bit of that out of there.
We did. Scrape the bottom and everything.
Hello, you beautiful people. If you like that cooking show and you want more cooking shows, don't forget to subscribe. I love to cook, so I'll probably still do them anyway, even if you don't subscribe. The chicken was amazing. I was in love with myself for cooking it. Did I mention subscribing? I think I mentioned that. Anyway, thank you.